all hope seemed lost, the petals of the solitary flower growing by the hunter's campsite parted, and a tiny creature arose from the center of the flower and spread her wings wide. They were the color of sunset over the savannah, and the hunters followed them until they have found their way again. Asking nothing in return, the butterfly-winged girl turned and disappeared back into the wilderness, and the grateful hunters went their way, their spirits restored at last. Hello friends, my name is Cryptic Kitten, and on my channel we like to talk about the magical, the mythical, and the macabre in folklore, mythology, and the media. Fairies are one of the most classic figures of folklore alongside dragons, vampires, orcs, hobbits, and honestly countless more. If I kept going on, this would literally just be a video of me naming mythical creatures. So I'm not gonna lie, I think that in another universe I may be Fae. Laugh at me all you want, but I feel it in my bones. One thing about fairies that I want to touch on is that the most represented fairies stem from European cultures, such as Celtic, Slavic, Germanic, and French. However, fae and fairy-like creatures are brought up in numerous religions and cultures all over the world. And today, I want to put a spotlight on fairies in African folklore. Before you get into that, let's talk about what a fairy basically is. And very basically, there are numerous types of fae. A fairy is actually under the umbrella of the fae. They are humanoid creatures that often have wings and are incredibly small. They can be benevolent or malevolent, depending on the kind, and they often live in forests, have magical powers, and are known for interfering with humans. They do not have a definitive origin, but are strongly associated with pagan religions. Africa is very rich in mythology, folklore, and mythical creatures, from trickster spirits to mythical sea creatures and even vampires. Most myths are passed down orally and weren't officially written down until the 1800s during the years of the Atlantic slave trade. Focusing on Africa, this continent is filled with culture and riddled with magic. When I think of Africa, I think of the beauty of nature, the primal urge to live alongside nature, and a strong sense of community. Africans to this day still have an intrinsic relationship with nature, and throughout the centuries have acquired sacred knowledge of not only how to feed and shelter their communities, but also heal them with herbal medicine. When it comes to the fae of African folklore, they play a vital role in helping humans thrive in nature, or, like how some fairies are, can be mischievous towards humans. The first type of fairies I would like to talk about are Yambos. Yambos are mythical creatures of the Wolof people in Senegal, West Africa. They have a ghastly white hue to their skin, have silver hair, and stand around 2 feet tall. They are also said to be the spirits of deceased individuals. Their other name is Bakna Rakna, which translates directly to good people, which I do believe, but some people might think otherwise. Yambos live beneath the Paps Hills and come out to dance in the moonlight, which I would like to be invited to. Besides dancing in the moonlight, they also love to have feasts. One peculiar detail to these feasts is that their servants are invisible except for their hands and feet. So just imagine only hands and feet around your dinner table waiting on you. It's actually pretty entertaining. They like to eat fish that they've caught, but these little mischievous creatures do like to steal food from humans for their feasts. Despite this, they are very welcoming, inviting both natives as well as foreigners to their feasts. And the main reason we know about Yambos today is because of a man named Thomas Kiteley. Irish writer Thomas Kiteley wrote a book called The Fairy Mythology, published in 1828. And in this book, he talked about Yambos. The way he got this information was from a little girl who lived on a Gorée island off the coast of Senegal. And she had heard these stories from a Wolof maid. So thank you to that young girl for being comfortable enough to tell these stories to Kiteley. Although I'm reluctant to thank him because I don't know what happened to this little girl after she gave him this information, he did help to immortalize and educate us about Yambos. Another fun question mark fact about the Yambos is that they show up in the Harry Potter universe. On the website Pottermore, Yambos appeared as African house elves and the mascot of the Senegal's national Quidditch team. And speaking of Quidditch, during the 1998 Quidditch World Cup, more stringent security measures were put in place as a response to the riots that broke out on the night of the final of the previous World Cup. One notable incident was the arrest of the Senegal's team mascots Yambos outside the stadium. The Yambos responded to their arrest by stealing every bit of food within a 10-mile radius in revenge and vanishing into the night. When I heard this, I had to give it a bit of a side eye. Knowing what we know about J.K. Rowling and her different phobias and alleged racism, seeing these African, aka black creatures needing to be strictly watched after being arrested during riots and going on a stealing spree just gave me intense ick. Like, why did that have to be their storyline? Anyways, now that we've talked about the Yambos, let's talk about another type of African fairy called the Aziza. Aziza are very important in African folklore. They are the epitome of benevolent, knowledgeable, and magical entities of the forest. They are tiny, human-looking mythical creatures with butterfly-looking wings that live in anthills and cotton trees and are heavily community-oriented. They are known to have given practical and spiritual magic to the humans, including the knowledge of fire. When you think about the magic and might of the forest, the Aziza are synonymous with just that. They offer help to those who honor the land and would aid hunters and teach herbal remedies and herbal magic. People to this day still hold ceremonies to honor the Aziza and are recognized in art, literature, and other media. They are also the inspiration for the naming of a type of plant called the Aziza. I plan on making a series about African mythical creatures and cryptids because I don't see many videos talking about these, so I've decided I'll be one of the sources for this information. I truly love what African fairies mean to the African people and how they help the people to thrive and coexist with nature. The fairies of African folklore unveil the magic that constantly surrounds us. As a spiritual person, I truly believe in the power and magic of nature. These mythical beings remind us that every leaf, every river, and every creature is worthy of respect and reverence. I would love to be more intentional about spending time in nature, and I invite you to do the same. Maybe we will gain some wisdom from an unexpected source. If you enjoy learning about African fairies, feel free to like the video and subscribe if you'd like to see more exploration of African mythology. Comment if you plan on spending time out in nature today, and remember to keep your minds open and embrace the extraordinary.